Joining us in the studio now, newly appointed chairman of the Mississippi Republican Party, Frank Bordeaux. Good morning, Frank. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. So you've been on the job not too long now. It's been wild, hasn't it? Has it not?
It has been wild. I got thrown into the middle of quite a few important races for all of us in Mississippi, and been hitting the roads. I've put a little over 4,000 miles on my car in a week and a half, and so we're out there working, seeing the people.
Yeah. So what are you hearing out in the field?
I think people are very positive. You know, obviously, if you were at Cruising the Coast last week, you would see there wasn't a single Biden flag out there. There was thousands of Trump flags. So I think the voters in Mississippi are the Republicans are very engaged. This Supreme Court Justice Amy Barrett has gotten people motivated. Yesterday, anybody that watched the Democrats tried to stump her a few times, and she is tough. We can all be very proud of the appointment.
I think she stumped them.
It was unbelievable.
It really is. So you come on the job here, Frank, and you got national elections going on. You got a SCOTUS appointment. We've obviously got elections here in the state. Certainly a key Senate election, a key Senate race. With Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith, and challenger from the Democrat side, Mike Espy. And, of course, the House races, which come up every 2 years. And so it's a lot. And president, which is the top issue, and we've got several ballot initiatives also that we were talking about on the show. But so what's your role with respect to just making sure that Republicans carry these races?
Well, I believe Governor Reeves tapped me for these type of situations. I love the grassroots. I love going out and working with the folks. In the Senator Smith election, you know, we're being outspent 4-1.
Wow.
Outside money is pouring into the state. They would love to turn one of our senators blue. And they're running ads for Mike Espy that we know in Mississippi aren't true.
We've seen them.
And we can combat that, but the way we're going to have to combat it is to get out there and work hard at the grassroots level, talk to your neighbors, talk to your coworkers, and that's how we're going to win this race. Mississippians constantly reject outside money trying to come in, and I think we're going to do that in this way.
And if outside money is pouring into, as you know, Frank, key races across the country. I heard Senator Cornyn talking about it from Texas this morning. How much money is poured in there. Good grief. In South Carolina with Senator Graham. Unbelievable. It's just crazy.
It is.
But you know what bothers me is these are the same people that gripe about the wealthy people who try to control and buy elections.
That's right.
Yeah, on the Democrat side. That's where they do it. If you look at Silicon Valley and the Wall Street banking community, all their money is going to Democrats. And I don't think it's because they necessarily favor their policies. I think it's because they know they can control them.
That's right. I think that's been proven time and time again. And so we in Mississippi, we're very fortunate. We have great leadership at the state level. We have passed, while Democrat-ran states and Democrat-ran cities, and we're seeing it now in the pandemic, they spent money. They raise taxes, they raise regulations, just like the national Democrats. Well, in Mississippi, we've done the opposite. You know, we've passed the largest tax cut in state history. We got Speaker Gunn talking about trying to eliminate income tax completely in Mississippi. We have, Lieutenant Governor Hoseman has made it very clear that he wants government agencies to be more efficient. And we know that we have a conservative in the governor's mansion in Tate Reeves. And so it's easy for us to go out and tell our story to Mississippians. And all we have to do is turn on CNN. That's the biggest way we grow the party in Mississippi, is let them watch the national media.
You know, you probably saw the meltdown yesterday between Wolf Blitzer, a notable figure, obviously, at CNN, and Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. That exchange was really incredible. I'm going to play that later on the program, but even they are saying, "Are you guys crazy?" So if you watched any of the event, the proceedings with Justice Barrett, the first day it was, we shouldn't be here. This is illegitimate. We should be discussing coronavirus relief for Americans that are suffering, hurting, all that kind of stuff. Hey, we've given you a $1.8 trillion bill.
That's right.
And you're saying, no, that's not enough. We got to have more. $1.8 trillion. Now, for perspective, that's more than twice what Barack Obama's so-called stimulus was coming out of the Great Recession.
That's right. And all they're trying to do is we are giving them everything that they've wanted, with the exception of bailing out pension funds in Illinois and in city of New York, cities that have in states that have been irresponsible for 20, 30 years. And Nancy Pelosi wants us to bail them out. Thankfully, we have good Republican senators up there saying no.
That plus the ballot reforms. I talked to Secretary of State Watson yesterday. She's inserted essentially provisions that would allow the federal government to assume total control of the elections process down at the grassroots states and local level. That has nothing to do with helping people that have lost their job because the government shut them down.
That's right.
But she's saying it just doesn't go far enough. We're not helping. She said we're not helping Americans with $1.8 trillion. It's got to be more than that. So how are we looking on the Senate race with Senator Hyde Smith?
I think we're looking good. We see these bad polls out there, completely untrue. We looked at some of the poll numbers last Thursday coming out of the RNC. I mean, we're 10, 11-point difference right now. We're well over 50%. And I believe the closer we get and the more people get engaged and look at what's going on at the national level, I think that margin is going to increase.
Well, I think the issue is even though Mr. Espy, in some respects, tries to kind of paint himself as a moderate, so to speak, the reality is, and you know this, Frank, once you get in the Capitol, you're walking the plank with your party, especially a new senator.
That's no question.
Because if you don't, you're not even invited to the meetings, right? You don't even have lunch with them.
But look, in his ads, he's saying that he voted with Ronald Reagan. He voted with Ronald Reagan a few times, maybe to rename some post offices. But let's be honest, his voting record is very clear. He voted 3 out of 4 times against Ronald Reagan, 3 out of 4 times against George H.W. Bush, and then he was awarded for being such a liberal to go into the Clinton administration. We know how that worked out.
Certainly Mississippians know that.
Oh, they definitely know that. If not, we need to remind them.
Absolutely. So that's the deal, is that you may have leanings and may even dissent, but the bottom line is, if there's key legislation, unless your dissension to sort of protect yourself in your state is not going to interfere with passing that legislation, you ain't getting a pass from the leader. It's just right. Simple as that.
That's right.
And the way we're so split almost evenly now, you got to have every vote. I mean, I don't know that there's a measure that would ever go through on a bipartisan basis. If it is, it's so insignificant, nobody ever hears about it.
Yeah. So, one thing Mississippians need to realize, and really Republicans across this country, is if Mike Espy was to get elected, he's going to be a rubber stamp for the liberals. But we have what in jeopardy is them packing the courts. AOC's made it very clear. I really don't care what Biden is saying right now. We're going to drag him to the left. We're going to pull him to the left. I mean, she's on record as saying that. And so we know that they're going to try to give Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. statehood. This is dangerous times that we're dealing with. And so we need to get out and support Senator Cindy Hyde Smith. And if it's knocking on doors, putting out signs, or if you can afford to give $10, send it to the campaign. They need it.
Absolutely. And so we got the 4 House districts as well, of course, on the ballot. How are we doing there? What do you think?
Well, I think we're solid. I mean, we as far as the Republican strongholds, we have a very great slate of Republican congressmen. And, Benny, he's going to be tough to beat.
Yes. Do we have a chance?
I don't.
His opponent thinks he does. I talked to him last week at an event.
Well, we'd love to get out there and work hard for him, so we're not afraid to do it.
We got a break. Can you stick around?
Sure.
Frank Bordeaux, newly appointed chairman of the Mississippi Grand Old Party. Stay with us on Super Talk. We're continuing our discussion with Frank Bordeaux. He's the chairman of the Mississippi Grand Old Party, the Republican Party. So we were talking about the races coming up, Frank, the Senate race, key Senate race between Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith and Mike Espy, and then the 4 House races as well. And the money pouring into the state on the Democrat side and a lot of these races really, truly is incredible. What do you think about turnout? How's that looking in the state here?
Turnout's huge. I mean, right now we're already seeing I've talked to circuit clerks throughout the state. I've talked to Secretary of State Michael Watson. I mean, turnout has been big already for absentee voting, obviously with COVID being a concern. But I think both sides are very motivated. I believe the Republicans are as motivated. Typically, Republicans like to show up on Election Day. And so I think that Election Day is going to be very, very busy as well. So I was in Smith County, and the circuit clerk up there said, I think all but 4 people in my entire county are going to vote this election. So,
incredible.
I mean, every circuit clerk I've talked to said it's just been in Harrison County 4 years ago, we had a total, I believe my numbers are correct, of 4,000 people vote absentee. Already they're at 6,000. And
wow.
So that's a big number, and I've heard the same in Lafayette County and other counties as well.
And when's the deadline? Last day somebody can vote. I had it yesterday in my hands from Michael Watson, but Rhino, it's coming up. It's not. We're 3 weeks out from the election, so the deadline for absentee voting.
I know some of that has changed this legislative cycle, and if it's post dated or at a certain day, they can still accept them after the date. But I forgot what the deadline was. I'm getting quite a few dates being thrown at me every day, and so.
Oh, I understand. So, but turnout is key, and I think we would benefit from a strong turnout.
Strong turnout's
on the Republican
great
side.
for Mississippi.
Yeah, and so, and you indicated that the enthusiasm and the energy for the president is strong across the state as well.
Everywhere I go, on the 24th they're having another boat parade on the coast, and I was not aware of the first boat parade that they had on the coast, and my son and I were in Back Bay riding, just joyriding, and all of a sudden we see thousands of boats coming at us, and it was amazing. They counted over 1,500 boats. I mean, that's pretty impressive. I didn't know we had that many boats in Mississippi.
And so, do you think we all know that the polls in 2016 showed Hillary Clinton up at the time and Trump down, and then of course the rest is history as Trump shocked everybody, and to the chagrin of those who were counting on those polls. Do you think the polls showing Biden ahead, most polls showing Biden ahead, certainly on a national basis, do you think it's the same scenario?
Well, I think when the media talks about these polls, that may be popular vote, but if we need to look at this state by state, and there's some swing states out there that are neck and neck, and so there may be a large 10-point lead or 11-point lead for Biden. But, I mean, California only has a certain number of electoral votes, and New York has a certain number of electoral votes. So I don't believe that it is out of reach, as folks say right now. And I also believe, due to what's going on in the Senate right now today, that is going to help President Trump.
I do, too. I really do. At first, it makes his nomination, his selection of Justice Barrett look brilliant.
Yeah,
it's a reflection on him because she, by all accounts, and I think most rational thinking people say, this person is not only eminently qualified, but just a quality person and brilliant and possesses all of the qualifications we would want. In fact, at her age, I can see a time where she may become the first Chief Justice, first female Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
I agree. I believe that she is. I've never seen anybody that is so quick on her facts. I mean, I guarantee you, the Democrats, when they woke up this morning knowing that they had to go back in there, probably weren't very excited.
I think you're right.
It's a very difficult thing to look good trying to beat up on her. I mean, she's good.
Well, like I said, I think what bothers them the most is that she is not one of them.
That's right.
They stake claim to females, people of color, so-called minorities, the left behind, the downtrodden, whatever you want to say. I mean, that the oppressed, which is just not true. But I think that's what bothers them, is that she's just not one of them, and they know it.
That's right. I mean, she fills a lot of the boxes that they say that they want. They want females.
Yeah.
They want folks that embrace people of color. She has adopted. And she's been criticized for that. And it's really funny. Whenever she got appointed was when I got the phone call to ask if I wanted to be chairman or not. And so my wife and I were talking about it. I said, this is really going to be an easy job of growing the party in the state of Mississippi, because whether you're a Democrat or a Republican and you look at how the Democrats are going to try to attack her, being a working mother, having children that don't look like her.
Right.
She's a Christian.
Yeah.
Well, if you're a Republican or a Democrat in Mississippi, those are all great qualities.
That's exactly
right. That's going to give us a good opportunity to grow the party.
And I think sound bites, frankly, are coming from these Democrat senators, which could benefit the president and also the Republicans in some of these Senate elections. By the way, Chairman Lindsey Graham, I think, has done a masterful job conducting the proceedings, and he's in a very close and tight race. What are you hearing from your colleagues there?
Look, Senator Graham it would be unbelievable for them to get rid of him. I have not always agreed with Senator Graham. I don't think any Republican has, but we don't always agree with each other.
Sure.
But he is a good level head in D.C. He's doing a fantastic job running this, and I could not imagine them voting him out.
Totally agree. Tom Tillis has had some stroke of fortune because of the improprieties on the part of his candidate, and that, Frank, could end up being the difference of control of the U.S. Senate.
No question about it. And, whenever you have somebody running on integrity and running on family values, and you find out that that's not the case, and that he allegedly had some issues with a married woman that was her husband is a veteran. Right. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that.
Dumb.
So I think that helps Tom Tillis.
Well, it's kind of reminds me of what happened yesterday with Kamala Harris. You saw that, huh, Rhino? That Kamala, who's said that, well, I can't participate in person because we're just endangering everyone's lives. And there's video that's gone viral now showing her packing in an elevator. A small elevator, by the way, and there's 7 people in that elevator, some of which do not have masks on, I think. But nonetheless, it's just hypocritical.
The hypocrisy is unbelievable. Had that been a Donald Trump or Mike Pence, it'd be all over the place.
Super spreader Harris.
Yeah, super spreader.
That's what we're going to call her. Having an event next week at my house, talked about that for my Congressman Michael Guest, on the 20th, and looking forward to that. The congressman, after his first term, has really done well for Mississippi, is he not?
He's done fantastic for Mississippi, and not just y'all's district. I mean, he is engaged in issues that affect the Mississippi Gulf Coast. I think that our 3 Republicans do very well working together, fighting for our entire state.
Had them all on the show with Stephen Palazzo, District 4 down on the coast, and, of course, Congressman Trent Kelly, also excellent in representing Mississippi. If we could just win that district up in the Delta there and take that away from Benny Thompson, we'd run at the table for the Republicans.
Well, let's get to work on it.
Absolutely. Frank, thanks so much for coming on the program today and coming in the studio. Congratulations on the appointment. Looking forward to working with you and the rest of the party as time goes on. Let's have a good election.